Okay, I am Cody Dunlap, and this is my AEP 800 Module 5 presentation, Barriers to the Web 2.0. The summary that I outlined in reading the 4 articles that were presented, there were 4 things that stood out to me. The question of funding, the question of our technological vision, the digital divide, and then excuses that teachers came up with regarding the lack of implementation. Regarding the first one, where does the funding come from? In a small school district like the one that I educate in, funding is a huge issue, and you have wonderful ideas, but if you can't make it work financially, then you got to find a different way. But if you do get the financial question answered, then comes the next problem, is what do we actually do with the technology? I have loads of apps. I love a one-to-one iPad in my room, and I just have idea after idea with apps that I've found or heard about from Twitter, but it's how do you plug it in, and does it fit with your curriculum? Does it truly fit with what you're trying to do in getting your kids up to speed and meeting objectives and standards? And then regarding the digital divide, there's 2 things. Number one, the district-to-district divide, and students are entering the workforce. They're graduating from high school with different opportunities, and they've had different experiences technologically depending on where they went to high school and middle school and elementary school. Not to mention the school-to-home divide, and how do you ask someone to do online homework or online research, anything at home, if they don't have internet access, or their internet access is completely slow. So an interesting conversation to be had there, and some of the excuses that educators made in talking about why they don't implement technology. Just the lack of time, the lack of training that they have, and not feeling that they have administrative support on their side. Now, getting into the digital divide issue, can it be resolved? And I do believe it can, but it's going to take ample amounts of time and money and training. And I think maybe money comes first. And that, again, that's my experience in a small school district. But if the money thing, if the funding thing can happen, and can be possible, then training and time, I think, it can work. But students need more than just that basic knowledge. They need to know more than just how to surf the web and how to get on Microsoft Word or Google Docs or Excel or Sheets, PowerPoint, slides. Because again, when they leave our grasp, when they leave elementary, middle school, high school, they're going to be competing for jobs with kids that maybe had a similar to better experience in their jobs, in the job search. And so finding ways to bridge that divide, to bridge the gap from school to school and from school to home. Now, I identified 4 skill sets really that, and there may be more, but the ones that I identified, technologically speaking, they need etiquette. They need to know what's the proper way to be using devices. They need to know how to problem solve using their devices. Part of that comes in the communication and collaboration that they have with others. They need to know how to do that effectively. So many of our kids communicate, but do they do it in the right way? And I think they need a basic knowledge of these core business entities. Google, Apple, I think kids need to have skill sets, knowledge, practical, and applicative skills regarding those two giants. The impact that the global economy has had. We are connected. We are connected basically at the hip, especially if that's where you carry your device. You can communicate with anyone. And that makes things that you want to buy, marketplace is, again, it's there. It's on your hip. It's at your fingertips. You can buy anything you want, anytime, anywhere. You can talk to anybody, anytime and anywhere. And that's because of these devices that we have at our disposal now. It is crazy the things that technology can do, the gadgets and devices that you can have, the phones, the iPads and tablets, the laptops, and the list goes way on from there. For me personally, some things that I'm still looking into, things that I probably need help with, not probably, definitely need help with, just in how to keep my devices safe, and free programs that are legitimate in the area of spyware and adware. I know quite a bit about the big three: Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. But beyond that, I'm pretty green when it comes to past that. And I know that just it's almost limitless, the amount of extensions and add-ons and little heres and theres that you can do with Google, because our school is a Google school. Our email server, anyway, we use Google Docs, Google Drive. And then I would like some more in-depth training on some applicative things. I have a couple of VR headsets, and I'm looking how to implement that. Some training on how to get that into curriculum, and then again some coding. Again, maybe some more training on how we can start to implement that. I got a grant proposal right now out that maybe for a couple of coding robots to try to see if there's ways that we can plug that into our day. As far as the technology that we have in our district, at the high school and middle school, they are one-to-one Chromebooks. All the teachers have MacBook Pros and iPads. The science teacher has a Promethean board. Every room, to my knowledge, has Apple TVs. There's a couple of really nice and pretty updated projectors in the lunchroom and in the woods room. And then we have a business lab or a computer lab. One thing that is, I did not put on this slideshow, but the new administration is moving us from Apple to Google. And so here in the next 1 to 2 years, I anticipate that we will have Chromebooks, maybe Surface tablets. At the grade school, or elementary school, we have quite a few more iPads. We have 35 iPads for 75 students, so not near one-to-one, but I am one-to-one iPads in my room. We also one-to-one MacBooks in every room. They're pretty old and outdated. I have a Google Chromecast, which we use. It's hooked up to my Apple TV, so it's kind of an either-or situation. We have MacBooks and iPads, and we have a couple of pretty old and outdated smart boards. The advantages to innovation and that practice, you get to see the explosion of the growth mindset, and it's a wonderful life skill to teach kids. There's no second guessing. There's no wondering, should I? And for those kids that are timid and struggle with that, this is a wonderful breakthrough. And there's a question, will you ever know if nobody tries? Asking that question. And you never know that you just might enjoy whatever you're exploring through the innovation. Now, the downfalls or the disadvantages, I guess, to innovation is I feel like there's very few people to talk to, or definitely not as many. You might talk to other people in your district if that's who you're innovating with, but the collaboration is limited, I believe. Is the innovation so new? Is the item, the topic, whatever you're innovative after, is it so new? Is it data driven, or are you just going for it for the sake of being innovative? And that kind of ties into the last one. Is this more to say you're the very first one, or is there something greater driving you to this innovation? Some inappropriate internet use that I've been unfortunately close to is the cyberbullying issue. We've had some problems with some Snapchat and texting. Kids thinking that Snapchats go away, and the reality is they just don't. And then I think they're under cyberbullying. I think we're growing into this age where it's not technically cyberbullying, but kids and probably adults as well are overwhelmed with how many likes and comments they get on posts on any of the social media platforms. And if they don't get what I believe that they were hoping for, is it a letdown? Is it a are we falling into a place depression wise, or lack of positivity that we don't want to be in. And obviously distractions. I see that in my first grade classroom. I love to use iPads. We use them on a daily basis. In some context, though, do they provide more of a distraction than a help? The high school, they're doing something called No Tech Tuesdays, where they're not using technology, especially the kids and their personal devices. But it's interesting to see how that turns out. And then what's the intended use? Are we using technology just to say we did it, or is it for the good of the kids? Because that's obviously why we're here. So, thank you.